One of the challenges of the world is that many of the legal and financial structures that exist in small, poor communities do not scale beyond its borders. That is, that the mechanisms that they have created, many times clever, innovative solutions, do not travel beyond its borders. One of the examples of this is that of identity. Locally, that is easy to resolve, but when it comes to representing yourself to the state, to the nation, to the world, this is something that is not possible. The repercussions of this are apparent when it comes to owning property, when it comes to getting financial services beyond your community, and it's even crossed over into education. When it comes to verifying the education of communities that are refugees, that by definition are without country, how do you provide medical services? How do you keep track of their education? How do you keep track of other benefits or other properties that they might have? And so this is certainly a big problem. When it comes to education itself, it is not just the poor communities without identities that have this challenge. It is also the challenge of integrating all of those different credentials by many different educational institutions into one resource that can be verified on demand. More than that, education is not just a couple of instances or two or three. It is a lifelong learning set of credentials, a living resume. How do you create something that is not owned by a trusted third party, that can be an open resource that everybody could verify? And of course, here I am speaking very much about the properties of blockchain. And so I'm going to show you an implementation that creates an education certificate that can be a smart contract deployed to blockchain. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that code next. And as you can see here, I have a very simple contract to create certificates. It is simply 34 lines of code. As you can see here, the very first part is creating a data structure that has the items you might imagine: a first name, name, course number, grade, and a certificate hash. Now, to be able to make a commercial offering, there would be a lot more needed, but I simply want to illustrate the potential of this type of mechanism within blockchain. I then have three simple functions. One adds a certificate and it passes in the data needed for the certificate. The other one retrieves a certificate, and the third one gives us the number of certificates that we have within the platform. I'm now going to switch over to the browser, and I'm going to go ahead and show you this contract deployed to blockchain. As you can see here, I have gone ahead and deployed this. This is a live contract that exists on the platform. You can view it through Etherscan. If you navigate to this address, make sure you are on the test network. And then if we scroll down, you can see here the code that I have deployed, which is the same one that I just showed you, but you could verify it. You could write applications against it. You could query for those functions. And so what I've done as well as writing the contract, deploying the contract, is that now I have created a front end for it. And that is what I'm going to show you next here. And you can see here that each of the blocks that I have on this page, this is a web application that is interfacing the blockchain network, each of those blocks has a corresponding mapping to the functions that I have on the contract. You can see there that I have a block to get certificates, one to add certificates. Then I can count the certificates and I can get a specific certificate. So let's go ahead and start off by getting all of the certificates. This is a small application, so it doesn't have that many. And you can see here that I have a long list of certificates. If we look at any one of them, you can see there that I have name, course, the grade, and a hash. I'm going to go ahead and reload the page. And now I'm going to go ahead and enter an additional one. Let's say that Peter Parker took a blockchain course. And so we're going to say blockchain here. And we're going to enter a number for it. Let's say it was called B500. And the grade was that of passing. And you can see below there the hash. I'm now going to add the certificate. When I press on that, I am going to be challenged, or I'm going to be requested to confirm by the plugin that I'm using in order to make that connection to Ethereum. And that is going to be MetaMask. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And as you can see here, I'm being asked to confirm that contract interaction. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And as you can see there, that certificate was added. Now you can see here that we could get our certificate count, and we could even retrieve a certificate. If I was to retrieve one of those first certificates, you'd be able to see there, Peter Parker. This is a different course for him. This is engineering computation. I was showing you that to let some time pass to make sure that that transaction had been included into a block and that we could retrieve that information. So let's go ahead and pull all of the certificates and look for Peter Parker. You can see here we have Peter Parker Engineering Computation, Peter Parker Blockchain. Here it is. You can see there the information that we passed in. Now, the advantage of having put it on blockchain is that there is no trusted intermediaries that we have to go through. It is an open resource to the world. And this is something that are great, very desirable properties when it comes to being able to verify credentials. Now, as you might imagine, this is something that somebody thought of a while back when the opportunities for education in blockchain were being explored. One of the first startups to go into the field was one from MIT. Since that time, there have been a number of improvements and a number of companies that are providing much more mature offerings. And so this is something to investigate and to look into a real world application that is providing a service that is very much needed and that is a great example of the properties of blockchain and its application.